Last week on Glenn Beck's TV show, he had an hour-long, his whole show, which is an hour, was him answering questions about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because he is a Latter-day Saint. And he doesn't usually talk about his religion on his TV shows or radio shows, because there's a time and a place for things. But he was motivated and in a way pushed into doing a show which he titled Mormonism 101, because there are some surveys where 18% of respondents say they would never vote for a Mormon for president. And he was hoping to reach some of those people. And so I'm doing my Mormonism 101 video, or my video to that 18%. Everyone else, please feel free to watch. Now, some of that 18%, I'll give them credit, may have been thinking about one specific person and don't have misunderstandings or prejudices about the church, but when they were asked in the survey, would you vote for a Mormon for president, they thought about a specific Mormon, a specific person that has run for office or is in office, and that one person, they wouldn't vote for that person, but they would vote for somebody else. But when they answered the survey question, they were thinking about that one person. The first question that Glenn Beck was asked is, are Mormons Christians? Yes. The real name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's in the name. Where we get the name Mormon is prejudiced people who didn't want to call us Christians, called us Mormons, and that's what we became known as. And in the Book of Mormon, there's a topical guide in the back. Jesus Christ and the topical guide starts on page 174, and the last page in the topical guide is 108. Last page of Jesus Christ in the topical guide is page 185. 11 pages of the topical guide is Jesus Christ. But that shouldn't be a deal breaker that would make you not vote for somebody. There are people who claim to be a Christian that are as Marxist and socialist as they come. There are people who claim to be Christians that don't understand how special the Constitution is. And one of the questions that was asked was about polygamy. We don't do it. We haven't done it for 120 years. A little more than that. And we have absolutely no connection to the modern polygamists. We're as connected to the modern polygamists as you are. Unless you're one of them watching this video. So if Mitt Romney wins the election, you're not suddenly going to have a next door neighbor with 5 12-year-old forced wives or something scenario like that. We were polygamists at one time in the 1800s. Why? God told us to. God didn't get very specific about why. We do know from the scriptures that when God tells us to be polygamists, there's supposed to be some pregnancies. It's to raise up seed, is the wording that is used in the Book of Mormon in Jacob chapter 2. That's not so the man gets constant sex every hour of the day. It's not for, it's not just to take care of the widows, because you can give someone food without having sex with them. You can take care of and help someone without having sex with them. One of the other questions that was asked to Glenn Beck was about how we treated blacks before 1978. Sometimes I feel a little bit bugged by people asking this question. We were chased out of the country for being opposed to slavery, in part, not entirely, but part of it was when we were chased out of the country in the 1800s. Mexico, Utah was not Utah was not a part of the United States when the decision was made to move there. Yes, cute. You got on YouTube. Now you're famous. Let's see. So we got chased out of the country. Yeah. Joseph Smith did ordain some black men, but the policy before 1978 did not affect people getting into heaven. In a way, it gave black people a shorter to-do list. Because somebody who wasn't black in the 1800s needed to get baptized, and then, well, I mean, wasn't black before 1978, needed to get baptized and perform the temple ordinances to enter the celestial kingdom and to have an eternal family and to become a god. Those who did everything else but the temple ordinances and couldn't get into the temple because of their skin color before 1978 will be in the celestial kingdom, will be in the best heaven, in other words, and will be gods. I have little doubt that Green Flake will be in the celestial kingdom, and I hope I get to live close to him and rub shoulders with him then. And for several decades, for a long time before the ban was lifted in 1978, the prophets were saying it's going to happen someday, just not yet. And one thing to think about is other world events that happened at that time. The civil rights struggle in America, which was supported by Republicans and not Democrats, or more Republicans supported it than Democrats, higher percentage-wise, happened in the 60s, but in other parts of the world, the civil rights weren't happening in the 60s. And it wasn't until the 70s that some of the European powers gave up some of their colonial claims. And maybe that's part of the reason for the timing of that, of the revelation in 1978. Glenn Beck was asked about what happens to you if you don't pay tithing. More about when we were chased out of the country. For a time period in Missouri, over 100 years, there was an executive order on the books written by Governor Lilburn Boggs in the 1800s, making it legal to kill a Mormon, kill them or chase them out of the state. Now, I'm not aware of that executive order being followed in the 1900s, but it wasn't formally rescinded until the 1970s. And part of that was because we were against slavery. When someone joined the church back in the 1800s and they owned slaves, they freed their slaves. That's not a racist way to live your life, freeing your slaves. Tithing. Not that this should affect whether you vote for a candidate or not, but our tithing is not given in a public manner. There's not a tray that's passed around so people can see how much you put in, so people can see if you do or don't give. Next to the bishop's office, there's a rack with an envelope and a slip. On the slip you write how much you're giving. There's several different funds you can direct it to, earmark the money. And you write on there if it's check, cash, coins, and you put it in the envelope and give it to the bishop or one of his counselors, and then 2 people count the money, and at the end of the year the bishop asks you if you paid a full tithing, if you paid everything you were supposed to pay, and doesn't investigate you to make sure you're telling the truth about that, and you sign off that how much you did actually pay. And that's how we do our tithing in private. The worst thing that happens too, if you don't pay tithing, you're not allowed into the temples. It's one of the rules about the temples. You have to be a full tithe payer to go into our temples. And I'm going to stop this segment now and make more than one YouTube video out of this subject.